Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have a story that actually provides some hope in this world, okay? In this Looney Tunes world that we live in which up is down and down is up, and we're allowing people of the opposite biological sexes to compete against each other in physical contact sports. This story right here, right, provides some hope that when women stand up, okay, when women speak out against this type of lunacy, we actually can get some real change, okay? As the BBC has apologized after interviewing a transgender athlete who bragged about committing acts of violence against women. And what I mean by committing acts of violence against women, we're talking about a MMA fighter, okay, who literally bragged about crushing the skull of a woman that this person was fighting against in an MMA match, okay? Absolutely ridiculous and should never be allowed to happen, okay? In a sane world, that is called domestic violence. In a woke world, that is called civil rights, right? Again, it blows my mind, okay, the world that we're living in. But again, this story provides some hope as feminist groups and women's rights groups have backlashed against the BBC to the point where they're apologizing for interviewing this person and not even asking that person about the controversial comments they made in which they were bragging about beating the hell out of biological women. So let's read about this because I think that, again, this provides some hope. And then we're going to talk about another story that, in my opinion, kind of brings us back down to Looney Tunes world and shows that every time we take a step forward, we take a couple steps back. So let's get into it. The BBC has apologized for interviewing a transgender athlete who boasted about knocking women out in a discussion about female-only sports. Fallon Fox, an American former martial arts fighter, was invited into BBC Radio 4's Today program last month after trans athletes were barred from women's elite races if they have gone through male puberty. The new policy by FINA, the swimming world governing body, will also aim to establish an open category for swimmers with birth sex different from their gender identity. All right, so let's actually take a listen at what this person had to say about this subject.
I think it's a horrible decision. I think that it's a knee-jerk reaction right now that they're having to a manufactured crisis in swimming right now. And I think that this ban is going to inspire real-world violence against LGBT people, especially trans people. And it's really hurtful and awful to see.
Why does it inspire violence?
It sets up a dynamic where people think that transgender women aren't really women, that we aren't really who we say we are. And there's and this goes hand in hand with a lot of the hurtful rhetoric and harmful rhetoric that comes along with people talking negatively about transgender people.
Why would it lead to harm against transgender people when all it is saying is that in swimming and possibly in some other sports, people who are born male have advantages?
Right. You don't understand how that would lead to violence. You don't understand how people see transgender women and transgender people. You don't see how this is discriminatory, right?
Well, it is.
People take that to heart.
Yeah, so nobody should be surprised by this answer from Fallon Fox here, in which this person gives the standard canned victimhood answer when asked a simple question about why do you think it's fair for a biological man to compete against biological women in sports, considering the inherent biological advantages that men have over women. In which they always respond by not actually engaging, right, in the conversation intellectually. They always take the victimhood route and say, well, you're a transphobe, or it is violence, right, to disagree with me. It is violence to believe that it is not fair for biological men to compete against biological women in sports. Now, the irony here is that this person actually is responsible for violence against women, right? Allowing this person to compete against biological women has resulted in women actually getting hurt. It has actually resulted in people getting hurt, okay? Which, again, is the irony here, okay? And it blows my mind. It blows my mind. But let's read more here. But the BBC came under fire for failing to inform listeners that Miss Fox, 46, had boasted of violence against TERFs, a slur which stands for trans exclusionary radical feminist, in a trans rant on Twitter in 2020. He tweeted, for the record, I knocked 2 out. One woman's skull was fractured, the others not. And just so you know, I enjoyed it. See, I love smacking up turfs in the cage who talk transphobic nonsense. It's bliss. So I want y'all to understand, bro. I want y'all to understand. This person is literally bragging about fracturing women's skulls and said, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed beating women, okay? And I mean, listen, this person beat this woman. And I'm not laughing. I'm trying not to laugh. It's not funny, but I'm just saying. This biological man beat the scent right out of this woman, okay? Literally beat this woman so bad that they couldn't even talk, okay, after the fight. Couldn't even talk straight, okay? If you don't believe me, just look at this interview.
But first, Erica, I want to, you did just get kneed to the chin just 7 days ago. First off, how are you doing? That looked pretty brutal.
I feel fine. I feel great.
You feel fine. I know that if you're an MMA fighter, you're pretty tough. But I wonder what you think in the wake of this. At the time of the fight, you didn't know that Fallon Fox was born a man. Now you know. Do you think it was unfair that you didn't know that at the time?
Unfair that I didn't know, but it didn't matter that she fought me.
You don't think it matters? You don't think that this is something that should have been disclosed?
Well, I felt that the information should have been disclosed to me ahead of time.
Why do you think that that's important for you or any other opponent of Fox's to know?
So we are aware and be able to be better prepared for the situation.
What do you think you need to be better prepared for?
Well, just knowing that, help me here.
Just what she's trying to say is just knowing that what you're getting into, not having any disclosure of something of that nature, it puts a lot of stress after the fight, obviously, as this story's breaking. But it's something that the managers know that they should disclose, and which they didn't.
Yeah, so I think it's not exaggeration to say that that woman got beat senseless, right? And a prime example of why we should not allow biological men to compete against biological women in sports. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, that's domestic violence right there, okay? That's what that is. Fox, now retired, became the first openly trans mixed martial arts fighter in 2013, having been born male, which sparked debate at the time about whether she had an unfair advantage. The Radio 4 interview prompted a backlash from campaigners for protecting women's sports categories for athletes born as female, not men who identify as women. The fighter appeared on the show alongside Karen Pickerton, an ex-GB swimmer. Quote, "We could have conducted the interview differently. Fair Play for Women, a women's sports campaign group, wrote to BBC bosses to complain that, quote, Fox should have never been booked and an on-air apology is required. This week, the corporation climbed down with the BBC complaints unit saying it was, quote, unaware of previous comments made by Fallon Fox. And if it was, quote, we would have conducted the interview differently. The BBC told the group in a letter, quote, we have discussed your concerns with the team responsible and we'd like to apologize for this oversight. It comes after Justin Webb, the Radio 4 presenter who led the interview, responded to critics after the program last month by insisting that he had no idea of Miss Fallon's comments, and the producers didn't either. The campaigners considered the apology a rebuke to, quote, woke Radio 4 producers. Dr. Nicola Williams, director of Fair Play for Women, told the Telegraph, quote, if you knew that Fallon Fox was a trans fighter, you know what Fallon Fox had said. Yeah, I agree with that as well, too. Right? Like, there's no way you didn't know what this person said. They're famous for what they said, okay? You would think that you would do some basic research into what this person said before you bring them on air and have a discussion without bringing that up, okay? You should definitely bring that up. Do you enjoy beating the living crap out of biological women? You think that's fair, right? You think that's right? You think that's just? That's a conversation that you got to have, okay? I'm not going as far as to say the person should be interviewed, okay? But I think that it is fair to say you should ask that person about those comments because those comments were literally insane. Quote, It's either that the woke producers didn't do the basics with research or they didn't care. This apology means nothing unless they also issue an on-air clarification. They must do due diligence on this topic by bringing on true experts, not just trans people for the sake of it. It comes as the Telegraph reported earlier this month how some BBC radio staff have been told that there were more than 150 genders and to develop their trans brand by adding pronouns to email signatures in a diversity training leaked by a whistleblower. Shortly after the swimming ban, British triathlon became the first sport in the UK to bar trans athletes from competing in the female category at both elite and grassroots levels, and other sports could follow suit. Sharon Davies, the Olympic swimming medalist, told the Telegraph, quote, "I am incredibly frustrated by science deniers who abuse on social media being given airtime. The BBC must do better." The BBC was contacted for a comment. All right, so that happened because women's rights group actually stepped up and said something, right? They actually said something, okay? And that brings me to my next story, okay, which kind of alludes to what I was saying, is that when you think you take a step forward out of lunacy world, you always take 2 steps back. As Lia Thomas was just nominated by UPenn for the NCAA's Woman of the Year award. Lia Thomas, who's a biological man, has been nominated by the NCAA as Woman of the Year. Now, again, this comes as Lia Thomas has basically been banned from competing in the international level in the Olympics in swimming against people of the opposite biological sex, okay? And I think that UPenn is doing this as a way to make Lia Thomas feel better about it, okay? But this move has been met with backlash, okay? So let's read here. The University of Pennsylvania is facing a wave of criticism from professional athletes for nominating transgender college swimmer Lia Thomas for the National Collegiate Athletic Association's 2022 Woman of the Year award. Quote, this is yet another slap in the face to women. Riley Gaines, a University of Kentucky swimmer who was also nominated for the award, tweeted in response to the news on Friday. Quote, first a female national title and now nominated for the pinnacle award in college gay athletics. The NCAA has made this award worthless. Facts, it is worthless. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean now? Because we know why they're giving it to Lia Thomas. They're giving it to Lia Thomas as an apology. We apologize for all the backlash that you got from people with common sense, right, and that believe in biology. We apologize because you've been banned from the Olympics. So as a way to make you feel better, because remember, these people's feelings matter more than everybody else's feelings, right? Their feelings matter more than biological women. To make you feel better, we're going to take away an award, right, a spot from a biological woman and give it to you, a biological man. Again, it's absolutely incredible the world that we live in here. Yeah, so let's read a little bit more here about the backlash. Quote, this award combines athletic performance with academic service and character. What character has Thomas shown other than sheer selfishness and entitlement? Gaines continue accusing Thomas of showing disrespect and disregard for other female athletes. Tennis legend Martina Navratilova also criticized the decision. Quote, what is wrong with you? She tweeted at the NCAA. Former NCAA swimming champ Marcy Smith, an outspoken critic against transgender women competing in women's sports, said UPenn is, quote, doubling down on their anti-women campaign by deciding to nominate Thomas for the honor. Riley Gaines deserves, quote, NCAA Woman of the Year for sheer guts alone, Smith tweeted. Facts. Facts. Again, the shame here, guys, is that they are taking away a award for a woman, taking away a nomination from an actual biological woman to give to Lia Thomas, and we all know why they did it. It's not that Lia Thomas did anything that actually warranted deserving this award. They did it because, again, they wanted to make Lia Thomas feel better about the backlash that Lia Thomas had been getting, right? That is what this is about. That's what this is about, okay? And UPenn is showing that, again, they are anti-woman. And that is what people have to start saying about these corporations and these universities and these institutions that continue to push this nonsense on society. They have to be called out for it. They have to be shunned for it. That's the only way it's going to change. That's the only way it's going to change, because women are the ones that are suffering, and these same people are the same ones that will turn around and say, hey, we support women's rights. We love women, right? But you don't love women when it comes to their rights being taken away and being replaced by biological men who believe that they're women, who want to be women. Again, it's amazing how this works. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.